Hello and welcome everyone, Simon Goertzen here with Drafting with Simon. As you can see, I'm in the limited queue room, and I know that you all want to win PDQs, and oh wait, the PDQ season just started and it's no longer Journey into Nyx Born of the Gods Theros Limited, but Modern instead. So I figured, why don't I show you a few modern matches rather than drafting Theros block again. There is Vintage Masters coming out on Magic Online. There is, of course, more things to discover in Theros Limited. There is going to be M15 coming out soon. There's going to be WMCQs. So basically everything is going to be relevant. Drafting, sealed deck. There's Grand Prix coming up, of course. Then Legacy, Modern, Standard, you name it. I think just block is pretty much done with. So I'm gonna not draft today, but rather move into the constructed queues for a change. I'm not usually too familiar with recording constructed content, but I do play quite a bit on Magic Online whenever I have the chance. And one deck that I've been playing since the Pro Tour is Affinity. Now at the Pro Tour I played Jund. I wrote an article about that, and Matej Zadelkai also did that. I think he also recorded some matches with it. This is the list that Christian Seibold used to reach the top 8 of the Pro Tour, of the Modern Pro Tour, and I liked a few things quite a bit. I liked the fact that he has a single welding jar. I like the one galvanic blast. I love the fact that there's 4 Thoughtcast in the main deck. 3 Edge Champions seems like a lot, but of course if you have a reasonable amount of them, you can often craft your game plan around them. The one thing that I don't like about them is the fact that they are best with Cranioplating or Steel Overseer, both cards that are prone to dying after sideboarding. So even though Edge Champion is good again after sideboarding because it itself doesn't die to all the spot removal, if all your support cards, all your Ravagers, Platings, and Steel Overseers just die or get dealt with, then a 3-mana 2/2 is not really what Affinity wants to be doing. So this is the Christian Seibold list. It has a Blood Moon, which I'm not a fan of. It has a 4th Edge Champion in the sideboard. Like I said, this is just going to if you play against control, you are able to board up to 4 Edge Champions. A 2nd Massive Ethereum in the sideboard, and then Spell Pierce, Thoughtseize, Whip Flare, Ancient Grudge. Just a few ways of hating out different strategies, and of course versatile cheap answers. This is basically the key. So instead of running this list, I've updated the list to my liking a little bit, but it's really, at its core, it's basically the same list. So as you can see, it's still 16 lands, 3 Glimmer Voids, 1 island. It is still the 3 Memnite, 1 Welding Jar split. And the one thing that I changed is to add a Steel Overseer and a Massive Ethereum for 2 Edge Champions. So I think because these are all basically late game cards, but in my opinion, Steel Overseer and Massive Ethereum offer a bit more of a package when it comes to just being brutally unfair and to win games, whereas the Edge Champion is more of a grindy card and one that I also don't love in sideboarded matches. All of these cards aren't too good in sideboarded matches, so I don't think it makes a big difference there. Steel Overseer also profits from the Welding Jar immensely, in my experience. So 4th Steel Overseer and the Massive Ethereum that actually was in the sideboard is now in the main deck, and I have 2 Edge Champions less. I still have 1 Edge Champion in the sideboard, although that is actually debatable. If you don't have the high amount of Edge Champions, it might actually be better to have none at all. What else did I change? I added a Unified Will. This is something I'm trying out to have against Tron and Control, and also combo decks in particular. Then all these cards are the same. They were in Seibold's deck list. And I'm using the additional space that I have to play a Grafdigger's Cage as well. And that's pretty much all the changes. So it's really minimal. Two changes in the main deck, these 2 changes in the sideboard. Like I said, I don't like Blood Moon. I think that it's not even good against Tron. And I haven't really been successful with it because my whole game plan often relies around the 8-man lands with Blinkmoth Nexus being fine and Inkmoth Nexus just being an amazing tool for this kind of deck. You're basically playing a deck with only how many mana sources? These 4 Mox Opal and these 8 lands. So you're basically playing a 12 mana source deck. Everything else acts as a mana fixing ramp or just attackers, and oftentimes lethal attackers, which is why I love Affinity in its current form so much. I'm not sure if it's the greatest deck to take to a PDQ, because it is easier to hate out than Twin or Pod or any of the other tier 1 decks. However, I think it's a blast to play, and even if you aren't going to play it, you should know how to play against it and what its lines are, and how to do the math against, especially Cranial Plating, against Inkmoth Nexus, against Arcbound Ravager. And hopefully these videos will show you some of that with when it comes to piloting Affinity or playing against Affinity and all the pitfalls of Modern. We all know how difficult Modern is. It's basically a format that rewards practice and preparation. And so one more video of me playing Theros Block Limited probably wouldn't have helped you as much in winning PDQs as this one will. That's what I hope. Enjoy the matches and see you next time.